All right, guys, today's notes are over graphing linear equations, okay? And we're going to be specifically graphing from table only. So before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about what exactly it means to be linear, because that is something that we need to know. So real quick, linear equations are going to contain one or two variables with no variable having an exponent other than 1. So the variable cannot have an exponent that is anything other than 1. So we're going to look at these following examples here, and we're going to decide, is it linear or not, based on what we were just told. So part A, our two exponents are x and y. And remember, not our two exponents, our two variables. Our two variables are x and y. And if there's no exponent, you want to think of it as a 1. Okay, so basically both of these have an exponent of 1, which means yes, it is linear. For B, we have an x and a y again, but notice this time we've got x squared. Because it is x squared, this one is not linear, so that one would be a no. Here we have x equals 12. We just have x, and again, there's nothing there, which means it has an exponent as 1, so yes, that one is linear. And then last but not least, we have x over 3 plus y equals 4. X and y both have no exponent, so it's like it's a 1, so this one is also linear. Okay, so just remember, linear equations are going to have variables with an exponent of only 1. Today, we're going to focus mostly on linear equations and graphing those with a table. So let's take a look at the first example I have here. Okay, this first example here says y equals 3x minus 4. And we want to graph that. So we want to graph this linear equation of y equals 3x minus 4. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to have 3 points. None of those points can be fractions or decimals. And those 3 points need to fit on the graph. To do that, we have to pick our own x values. So we're going to pick our own inputs. And we can pick any x value we want. I'm going to use 0, 1, and 2. Try to keep it simple, guys. 0 is a super easy number to work with, so I always use 0, and then I just picked 1 and 2. So once you have picked your x values, which are your inputs, you can get your y values by plugging in the x values. So your y value is going to be whatever you get when you plug 0 in for 3x minus 4. So when you take 3 times 0, you get 0, and then minus 4 would give you a negative 4. So you're just plugging these x values into the equation above. So when you plug in 1, you get 3 times 1, which is 3, minus 4, which is going to give you a negative 1. And then when you plug in 2, you get 3 times 2, which is 6, minus 4 gives you a 2. So now we have 3 points. So the next step is to plot those 3 points. So remember, the x value is going to be on the horizontal. The y value is the vertical. So if we're doing an x value of 0, we want to start at 0. And then the y value is negative 4, so you're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's your first point. Then we have 1, negative 1. So we want to go to the right 1, because that's our x value, and then down 1 for the y value. Then we have 2, 2. So you want to go to the right 2, up 2. once you have your 3 points, you can go ahead and draw your line. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure it's going through those 3 points. Okay? So that is the main idea. That is the main gist of what we are doing today. We are just learning how to graph specific equations by drawing or forming a table and then graphing the line. So this next example we're going to look at is a little different though, because for this example, notice y is not solved for. So we need to solve for y first. So we're going to take our equation, our 4x plus 2y equals 10, and we need to solve for y. So the first thing you need to do is subtract 4x from both sides. Because when you do that, these cancel. So now you have a 2y equals a negative 4x plus 10. Okay. Then you need to divide every single term by 2. You've got to divide everything by 2 because when you do that, these become 1. So now you got a 1y equals negative 4 over 2 is a negative 2x. 10 over 2 is plus 5. So there's your new equation. Okay. So now, once again, we want to pick 3x values that we'll plug in here to get our 3y values. This time I'll change it up a little bit. I'll do negative 1, 0, and 1 just to change it up some. So we're going to do the same process. So we're going to start by taking this negative 1 and plugging it in here for negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2, plus 5 gives us a 7. Then we plug 0 in. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus 5 gives you a 5. And last but not least, we're going to plug in 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 5 gives you a 3. So now we plot our points. So our first point is at negative 1, 7. So you go left 1, up 7. Right there. The next point's at 0, 5. So you want to start at 0, and then you want to go up 5. And then last but not least, we have the point 1, 3. So you're going to go right 1 and then up 3. And again, once you have your points, you can go ahead and draw your line. Okay. So those are the first couple examples that I have to show you. And those are two specific linear equations where we're finding our taking our inputs and finding our outputs and our table of values, plotting the points, and drawing our line. We've got 2 more, and these 2 are specific cases. So the first one here, for example 3, we have 2 different lines that we're going to draw. The first one is y equals 3. So right here, we're looking at y equals 3. When you have a line where it says y equals 3, that means that your y values will always be 3 no matter what. You could pick any x values, so 0, 1, 2, any x value you want, and your y value is always 3. So if we were to plot these points, so if we go 0, up 3, 1, up 3, 2, up 3. If you notice, you are basically getting a horizontal line that goes through the point where y is 3. That is what that specific line would look like for y equals 3. Okay? Same idea for when x is negative 3. So when x is negative 3, x is always going to be negative 3 no matter what. So no matter what the y values are, we could pick 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. The x value is always negative 3. So if we start at 0 and we go left 1, 2, 3. So we go left 3, start at 0. We go left 3, up 1, left 3, up 2. Notice this time we are making a vertical line that goes through the point right here where x is -3. So when you have y equals a number, it will always be a horizontal line going through that point. When you have x equals a number, it will always be vertical line going through that point. Okay, so that is those two specific situations. Awesome. All right, we got one more example, and then that's it for these notes for today. This last example here, sorry, let me straighten that a little bit more, sorry. So this last example here, we have 2y equals x minus 8. And once again, we need to first solve for y. So we're going to take our equation, our 2y equals x minus 8. And to solve for y, we need to divide every term by 2. So when you take this 2 divided by 2, you get 1. So you're left with y equals x over 2 is the same thing as saying 1x over 2. So it would be like 1/2 x, because that's like having a 1 in front of x. Minus 8 over 2, which is 4. You need to leave that as a fraction, guys. Do not write it as a decimal, okay? Leave it as 1/2, not 0.5. The reason being, if you remember, I said your 3 points cannot be fractions, which also means they cannot be decimals. So your points cannot be fractions or decimals, which means with this example, you have to be very careful about which points you pick for x. Because if you don't pick the correct numbers for x, you are going to get decimals. So for example, if I were to plug in 1 for x, I would get 1/2 minus 4. That would give me a -3.5. That is a decimal. We don't want decimals. So here's what you want to pick for your x values. Whenever you have a fraction in front of your x, you want to make your 3 points the negative and positive of your denominator and 0. So since this is 1/2, you want to make your points -2, 0, and 2. Because that will cause you to get whole numbers. So now if we plug -2 in, 1/2 times -2 is a -1, minus 4 gives you a -5, which is a whole number. 1/2 times 0 is just 0, minus 4 gives you a -4. 1/2 times 2 is 1, and 1 minus 4 is -3. Now we plot our points. So our first point is at -2, -5. So you want to go left 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you've got 0, -4. So you're going to start at 0 and go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have 2. So you're going to go right 2, down 3. 1, 2, 3, right here. So here is your line. All right, that is all I have for graphing linear equations. You now have a worksheet that you're going to do practicing some of these, and that is what you will have for the rest of the day. Have a good day, guys. Bye.